Well, if you've ever wondered what getting goalied is, that is what getting goalied is. That game against the Stars. What's cracking, everybody, and welcome back to Kraken R&R, where the Kraken play a pretty good second half of a back-to-back, even get some pretty good goaltending from Matt Murray, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. They couldn't solve Casey DeSmith in Dallas's net enough times to come away with even the 1 point in the standings. Still losing a close one, 2-1, but it's 0 points all the same. And sure, the Kraken didn't necessarily play a perfect game. They're never going to play a perfect game against a very good Stars team, especially on the second half of a back-to-back, but they played more than well enough to win. Murray in net was more than good enough to get the Kraken the win, and they produced enough good chances that against an average goaltender, I think the Kraken would have won this, and probably by multiple goals, even without an empty netter. But at the end of the day, they just could not get more than the one past DeSmith, who was absolutely a brick wall in net for the Stars in this game. The Kraken do get the one past him, somehow don't get shut out, but even that one took a pretty perfect deflection to end up past him. I suppose as we get into the game, we'll get into it, and then we can talk about more big picture after the game. But yeah, for the Kraken, pretty much the same lineup we saw in last game, which does include Berkeley Katniss. He plays his 10th NHL game, which does mean that that's the first year of his ELC taken up, and a pretty good sign that we're going to see a lot more of Cat in this season. I mentioned after the game against St. Louis that there was a chance that that might be the last game we see of Cat in this season if the Kraken wanted to just get him the 9 games and then figure out what to do from there. But it looks like they like enough what they've seen from Catton that they're going to give him a good amount of time in this NHL season, which I think will probably be for the best for his overall development. As far as the rest of the lineup, the only other change is Murray in net instead of Grubauer, obviously with the second half of a back-to-back, and DeCord on IR. That wasn't at all a surprise. And like I said, Murray was fantastic, played very well in net for the Kraken, and we'll get to how the 2 goals end up getting past him, but yeah, played more than well enough for the Kraken to win this one, and I think the team in front of him also played as well. They just couldn't get it past that one last line of defense, except for early on in the game when they do actually end up opening up the scoring. Just a few minutes into the first period, it's the Kraken in the offensive end, a cycle of the puck up by the blue line, and a shot from Adam Larsson up in the corner that gets deflected nicely by Jaden Schwartz on the way, and perfectly into the near side top corner past DeSmith, who really doesn't have much of a chance on this one. It's a deflection on the way, which is going to give the goaltender very little chance, and then it's perfectly placed into that top corner. So, yeah, it would have taken pretty much a miraculous save, which he got very close to having a few of those over the course of the game, but it would have taken his best save of the game, which is saying quite a lot, to pull this one down. He isn't able to. The Kraken on the board first. Unfortunately, they do then send the Stars directly to a power play, and against one of the best power plays, the third best power play and best home power play in the NHL coming into this game, against a Kraken penalty kill that has had more than its fair share of trouble at the start of the season. It seemed inevitable, especially with this coming right after the Kraken scored, that the game wasn't going to stay with the Kraken in the lead very long, and sure enough, the Stars do make not instantaneously quick work of this power play, but it doesn't take all that long either. They work the puck around a few times, the Kraken just can't get it cleared, and eventually, not long after Stevenson has a chance to get it across the blue line and just doesn't quite get all of his clearing chance, it's scooped up off the blue line and kept in. The Stars cycle it one more time, and then pass down to the net, finds Wyatt Johnston wide open, one-on-one with Murray, and he makes a nice move to just shove it under the pad of Murray as he tries to go to the far side to try and block off, thinking Johnston might try and wrap it around his far foot. Instead, Johnston just waits for him to open up and shoves it through the 5-hole to give the Stars the power play goal and tie things up quickly at 1. Unfortunately, also a power play goal for the Stars that serves to start some momentum here for them in the first period, as the Kraken start to really have to buckle down and play some defense in order to keep the Stars from taking the lead outright within the first half of this first period. A few very good chances, a couple pretty nice saves from Matt Murray, and fortunately the Kraken are able to survive that, eventually start to turn things back the other way, get some chances of their own in the back half of the first, but in the final few seconds, under a minute, just about 30 seconds left, one more rush chance for the Stars, one last chance before intermission, and it's Sagan just absolutely walks Lindgren. If you were a soccer fan, nutmegging is probably the term you would use, as he puts it between Lindgren's leg and then goes around and collects the puck on the other side, and then power move towards the net, as neither Montour or Lindgren put up any more defense. At that point, it's one-on-one with Murray, who does take away the front of the net, and then is able to get his feet to the far post as Seguin tries to go around to shove it in around Murray's legs. He then just throws it on net, and unfortunately Murray, who, Seguin probably is trying to lift the puck here, but Murray expects Seguin to try and lift the shot, so he lifts, unfortunately, both of his legs. I'm sure it's just an instinctual thing, but both of his legs go just up enough off the ice to try and block a potential chip shot over the pad, that it leaves a puck-sized gap under the pads, and that's exactly where the puck goes. It stays on the ice under both of Murray's legs and into the net to give the Stars the 2-1 lead as we go into the first intermission. Which, of course, for you eagle-eyed viewers, you will have noticed that that is the final score that I put up at the beginning of this video, which means, yes, after the first period, we already have exhausted the scoring on the whole for this entire game. Not to say that there aren't going to be some more good chances, and the Kraken particularly play a fantastic final 40 minutes, getting off to a very good start in the second period. The Kraken, with another strong second period in this game, really deserve to score. Unfortunately, though, they do their weakest point of this second period is also their best chance to even things up and get that goal, as they get two power plays that overlap for 20 seconds. In the middle part of the period, still towards the first half of the second, but around the middle of the period, they get these two overlapping power plays. The first one, I can't exactly remember what the call was, but that one is the one where the Kraken get a couple very good chances right away on DeSmith. He makes a couple very, very good saves to keep the Kraken off the board on the power play there and keep his Stars team in the lead. The Kraken would get another chance on that power play before eventually the Dallas Stars clear a puck over the glass clean, and that will be a obvious delay of game. So for 24 seconds, the Kraken get 5-on-3. Unfortunately, that is the face-off that they end up losing, so the Stars are able to clear it and kill off the majority of that 5-on-3 just by getting that clear in the face-off win. The Kraken still get in, have one more look at the 5-on-3, but then with not scoring there, the remainder of that second power play just doesn't go anywhere. They can't get anything going. I described it at the time as a pitiful second power play for the Kraken, and it kind of was. They just they seemed just careless with the puck. They were not taking care to try to get in with any control of the puck, dumping it in with a man advantage, which sometimes works, but it just seemed like they were expecting to get in easily and not be met with any defense, which, to be fair, the Stars' penalty kill is one of the few penalty kills, or coming into this game was one of the few penalty kills worse than the Kraken penalty kill. And at home, they have the worst home penalty kill in the NHL coming into this game. So maybe the Kraken just took that scouting report a little bit too literally. And yeah, the carelessness with the puck on that second power play ends up costing them any more opportunities. And although the rest of the second period would go pretty well for the Kraken, they would get some good chances at 5-on-5. That, if you look back at it, aside from the performance of DeSmith, that is really the one glaring missed opportunity for the Kraken, was not taking advantage of one of those power plays, or maybe that little bit of 5-on-3, and then, of course, giving up the power play goal to the Stars in the first period. So, once again, unfortunately, special teams as a whole end up being the difference in this game. And yeah, like I said, going into that first power play for the Stars, it seemed kind of inevitable, or it seemed like a given the Stars were going to get a power play goal. And yeah, again, one of the best power plays in the NHL. Even if the Kraken were a league average penalty kill, which they are quite far from being, but even if they were, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise if the Stars were able to score. So really, yeah, it really comes down to the Kraken just not able to score on the power play with the chances they do end up getting against an equally weak penalty kill on the other side. Even though the Kraken power play isn't as strong as the Stars power play, that's still a penalty kill you should be scoring at with the way they are playing in this game. And they gave you some chances. The Kraken just didn't really capitalize, and then helped the Stars penalty kill along the way by being careless with the puck in that last power play between these two in the second. The Stars do eventually get a little bit of a push in the middle part of the second period, but Murray makes a good save and the Kraken turn things back the other way, and even do have a good kill on another Stars power play late here in the second, which they desperately need. You can't afford to go down multiple goals with how clearly great DeSmith is in this game. Standing on his head, it was pretty obvious it was not going to be easy to score on him. So the Kraken penalty kill steps up when they need them to here late in the second. And we get to the third period with the Kraken still down 1. And we've seen that this team, even with their sometimes complete lack, it seems, of ability to generate offense, they, weirdly enough, seem pretty good at generating offense when they're down in a close game. And to be fair, generate offense they did in the third period. The Stars get a bit of a push to start the third, but the Kraken quickly turn that momentum around, tilt ice back in their favor, get a couple chances, get another power play where they do look pretty dangerous, much more careful with the puck, spend the vast majority, almost the entire power play they spend in the offensive end, get plenty of good chances, a couple good passes that lead to one-time shots, but DeSmith, reading everything perfectly, is able to make a couple of very nice saves. I think at least 2 on Tolvanen, 1 on Beniers. Just very, very, very good goaltending from DeSmith that keeps this Kraken power play from scoring, so I'm not going to get on the Kraken power play on that one. They did everything they needed to. They were just met by even better goaltending. And then that kind of continues to be the story back at 5-on-5 the rest of the way. Eventually the Kraken, it does take them a while to get Murray pulled. The Stars do a pretty good job of keeping the puck down in the Kraken end of the ice to prevent Murray from being able to get out of the Kraken net until just above 2 minutes left. The Kraken will get a couple of chances at 6-on-5, but nothing that, again, DeSmith isn't able to read and make a save on. One last sprint down the other way. Wright gets one last chance that just misses what looks like he might have seen a window there. Man, if Wright could have had the heroics there to tie the game in the final seconds after winning the previous game, that would have been pretty fun. And who knows what would have happened in overtime, but you got to just take your hats off in this game to an absolutely incredible performance from Casey DeSmith in this game, who's gotten off to a fantastic start. He already came into this game with, I think they said 963 or 960 something save percentage, which is, I mean, it's a small sample size. It had only been 4 starts, I think, to this point for him, but obviously he's off to a very, very strong start to the season in his limited play, backing up Ottinger, and that just continued, and even more so, unfortunately, here in this game for the Kraken, both teams playing on a back-to-back. I do think that while it was a pretty well-played back-and-forth game, both teams played a fairly evenly matched game. I think the Kraken, certainly through the second and third period, were the better team, but, I mean, yeah, with both goaltenders playing lights out, it just came down to which team gave up that one extra bad mistake, and unfortunately in this one, it was the Kraken, with the Stars getting Wyatt Johnston left alone in front of the net. Again, power play, good power play for the Stars, but you can't leave a player, even on the power play, one-on-one with your goaltender standing free in front of the net. And then, yeah, Lindgren just getting walked, and Murray, it'd be nice if he kept his legs on the ground there, or at least one of the two, but unfortunately just a bit of a bad break there, and it was enough to make the difference in this one. So you know what? I suppose really in the end with this game, I think we were all at least emotionally prepared for the Kraken to probably lose this game. Second half of a back-to-back, and we know how that's gone over the last year plus now against a very, very good Stars team. Even if they're not always playing at their best at this point, they have been still one of the best teams in the NHL to this point in the season. And then you get a hot backup goaltender who stays hot in this game. The Kraken still stayed with it the entire way. They never felt like they were out of this game, even with DeSmith playing the way he was. All it takes is one more good deflection or a weird bounce to give him no more opportunity to make the save. Unfortunately, the Kraken just weren't able to do that. Really, the one criticism, aside from, I said the one with the 2 power plays, and that is the big one, is the missed opportunity with those overlapping power plays in the second. But maybe the other criticism you could have is that the Kraken didn't get a ton of chances up close to the net. They do get, at least in my opinion, a few pretty good high-danger chances that were still low down below the midpoint of the face-off circle, but it was kind of like, once you got kind of within a foot of the halfway point of the face-off circles, there was almost, well, they said it on the post-game, but almost like a line there that the Kraken just couldn't get shots beyond. Still, they got some very good shots from that kind of 6 to 7 feet away from the net area, off of passes, off of even rebounds a couple of times. It's just that DeSmith was reading everything so well that he was still more than set up to make saves there. It's kind of what we see from DeCord when he's at his best, making what are very difficult saves look very easy. But still, if you do want to nitpick and try and figure out where the difference was for the Kraken offensively, that they weren't able to score and don't want to necessarily chalk it up fully to the missed opportunity on those overlapping power plays, it would be that even if you were getting some pretty good chances off one-timers from passes, even passes across the offensive zone, the type of shots that often do lead to goals, it would be that even with some of those good chances, you were not getting very much traffic around the net to take away DeSmith's eyes, try and get rebound chances or deflections, the type of things that can still find ways to score on a goaltender as hot as DeSmith was in this game. So maybe something there where the Kraken could work a little harder to get to the front of the net, but some of that I think could be attributed to just some good defense from the Stars in front of DeSmith, helping him out a little bit there. Wasn't always perfect from them either, still giving the Kraken some good chances, but they at least kept the Kraken from the net front. While they were getting some net front chances, Murray had to come up pretty big on some net front chances. Obviously, the two goals that the Stars end up getting are right around the crease. The power play goal is right at the top of the crease, and then the goal right at the end of the first is right at the side of it. So the Kraken defensively not necessarily themselves by allowing the Stars a few pretty good chances right around Murray. Still, he was almost as good as DeSmith at the other end. And yeah, I think at the end of it, you just have to come away feeling, a little disappointed that you don't even get the 1 point in the standings, but I think generally good about how the Kraken played in this game. As far as a loss is going to go, I think this is about as good of a loss as you can have. The team played well enough to win. They just got goalied. 31 shots on goal, 25 hits, so a fairly physical game with some good forechecking. Did get some good chances on the power play, or at least two of the power plays anyway. The penalty kill, aside from the first one, stood up against a very good power play twice with the 1-goal lead already established for the Stars. They prevented the Stars from extending the lead. And then you got a very good performance from your other backup. I suppose now your backup, or 1B. I don't know what the situation here is with 3 goaltenders, but in back-to-back games, you got back-to-back performance from both of your backups. So yeah, hopefully that continues the rest of the way, and then if DeCord isn't going to be healthy the full season, or even once DeCord gets back, if you kind of would like to give him a little bit more rest than he necessarily has had to this point, it's good to know that you at least have 2 goaltenders that can put in performances like we've seen these last couple of nights. Anyway, I don't know that there's much more to say about this game that I haven't already said multiple times. It was a pretty straightforward game as far as how it ends up playing out, especially with all the scoring having come in the first period. So we'll close this one out with the Kraken 3 stars, as always brought to you by the patrons over on Patreon. If you do want to help decide the 3 stars after every regular season or playoff game, you can go over to Patreon and support a little bit more than you already are by watching to this point, which I already very much appreciate. And with the 3 stars, the first star in this game for me, I think I'm going to go with Matt Murray. He does keep the Kraken in this game really the entire way. Yeah, it would have been nice if he could have kept one of the 2 legs on the ice for that outstretched one, but he's already put in a pretty tough position there with the bad back check from Lindgren, where he just gets walked by Sagan. So it's hard to put it too much on him. It's just kind of an unfortunate. He goes one way with trying to stop the puck, and then it ends up just sliding along the ice, even if that's not necessarily what Sagan was trying to do. And then the power play goal for the Stars, he can't really put that one on him. And the rest of the way, he gave the Kraken more than enough opportunity to win it back the other way. They were just met with an equally to more so good performance in the other net. Second star in this game, I mean, Jaden Schwartz scores the goal, but for me, I think I'm going to go with Vince Dunn. Vince Dunn had a very good game here. Does get an assist, gets the secondary assist on Schwartz's goal. I'm pretty sure he passed it over to Larson, then Larson shot. So yeah, he must have had the secondary assist on the Schwartz goal, and otherwise he was very much the Dunn at his best that we're used to seeing, getting breakouts going for the Kraken, starting some transitions that, while we were seeing some pretty good transition game from the Kraken early on in the season, that has been a little bit more of at least a patchy area for them. It's a place where they just have not really been very consistent with these offensive breakouts, getting out of their own end of the ice and cleanly into the other end. And Dunn was at his best as far as starting those breakouts in this game, was providing some offense for them once they got set up in the offensive end, and also had a couple pretty good defensive plays. So I'm going to go Vince Dunn with the second star. And then the third star, it's hard to pick a third star. Obviously, Jaden Schwartz I think Jaden Schwartz is probably the obvious one. So I don't know. We'll go with Jaden Schwartz since he scores the goal. He didn't necessarily stand out a ton to me over the rest of the game, but he did score the one goal for the Kraken, so we'll give it to Schwartz. I think Matty Beniers also had a very good game. Capo Caco played some very good minutes for the Kraken in this one. Ended up playing a fair amount on the fourth line. They kind of switched him and Tolvanen at a couple points in this game, but he played very well, I thought, in this one, or at least at moments in this game. I liked what I saw from Caco, so I think there's some other very worthy options. Let me know what you think down in the comments as far as who your 3 stars for the Kraken would be in this game. I do think that even in spite of a 1-goal game, that they played more than well enough to warrant 3 stars. And hopefully this is a type of performance we can see from the Kraken coming back home. If they can keep playing the way that they did in this game, they are going to win more games than they lose. I would say pretty certainly the rest of the way. They're certainly not going to face goaltending that good in the majority of the games the rest of the way. And as long as the rest of it is at least as good as it was in this game, they should win the majority of their remaining games, which, considering where they're at right now, tied for second in the Pacific, that means a playoff spot. I don't think anybody's expecting them to necessarily play this well for every game, but again, you don't feel bad necessarily other than just not getting a point out of a good performance. With that said, though, we'll close things out on this one. So, yeah, one more time, let me know what you think down in the comment section below, who your 3 stars would be. And until next time, with the Kraken back home for 3 games in Seattle, 2 of them should be somewhat winnable against they've been playing decently so far this season. A Blue Jackets team that has not been a pushover like I think we're generally used to seeing from the Blue Jackets, but hasn't necessarily also been at their best over the last couple of games. Then you get a very good Winnipeg Jets team, and then a chance for redemption against the Sharks on Saturday. So it would be I think the Kraken need to come away with at least 4 points in those 3 games to keep pace with what they've been doing so far. Time will only tell. Until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other. God bless, and go Kraken.